I don't know if you've ever sat in a funeral and listened to the speakers talk about the people that they loved. And I can never remember a funeral where I sat and listened to someone say, he was the best worker. He put all his time into work. He sold a lot of houses. He did the most widgets. He created the greatest company. You know, when you think about how you want to have your life measured at your funeral, what is it you want said? I'd like it to be said that he was a great father, a great husband, a great friend. He was a good neighbor. He was someone I wanted to hang out with. He's someone that he always had my back. When you think about your life, is it going to be measured by the things you accomplished at work or by the impact you made in the lives of others? For me, life balance is all about finding that thing that gets you up in the morning and makes you say, you know what, today's another great day. How soon can I finish my work so I can enjoy it? That's what life balance is to me. You know, a great teacher once stood in front of a bunch of students, and he took out a big wide-mouthed mason jar, and he said to the students, we're going to have a quiz today. And then he grabbed some fist-sized rocks and he put them in the jar. He put all these rocks in the jar and filled it all the way to the top. And he said to the class, is the jar filled? And the class responded with an enthusiastic, yeah, it's full. And the teacher says, no, hold on. And he reached under the counter and he grabbed a pail of gravel. And he took that gravel and he poured it in amongst the big rocks, and he shook the jar and poured more gravel in and shook it some more until it was all the way to the brim. Of course, then he asked the class one more time. He said, class, what do you think? Is the jar filled now? The class responded with an enthusiastic no, because they were trying to catch on. So then the teacher reached under the counter and he grabbed a pail of sand, and he poured that sand in amongst the big rocks and the gravel, and he shook the jar and he poured more sand in and continued to pour it in until it was once again filled to the top. And once again he asked the class, what do you think? Is our jar filled? And the class responded with a no, and he said, that's right. And he then grabbed the pitcher of water. He then poured water in amongst the rocks, the gravel, and the sand until the jar was over full with water. And he says, now class, what do you think? Is the jar filled? And the class all said, yeah, it's full. And he said, that's right. And what do you think the moral of this story is? The teacher then asked the class. And one eager beaver on the front row raised a hand and says, oh, I know. No matter how much you have to do in a day, there's always time to get more in. Now, you think that's the message? I don't think so. The moral of the story is simply this. If you don't put the big rocks in first, you'll never get them all in. So the question I have for each of you is, what are your big rocks? What are the things that are the most important in your life that you must get done each day before you say today was a great day? I believe that there's 5 things that we all need. We need balance in family, faith, friends, fun, and fitness. And all of those things, if you have a balance, will have a dramatic impact on your finances. Well, maybe not fitness as much as the others, but the other ones are really important. Family, faith, friends, fun, and fitness all have a dramatic impact on your finances. So, how do you create balance in those areas? You choose to put the important things in first. And as you schedule them in, you make them a priority, the rest of your life will be not only fun, but it will be fulfilled. And at your funeral, instead of saying, he was a great widget builder, they'll say, he was a good man, or she was a good wife, a good mother, and a good friend, and a great neighbor. That's how we measure our success in this life, is by living well. And I encourage each one of you to live well. Have balance in both work and life and family, and find out what it really means to live a life fulfilled